Hello, Dense MC here with another Charlie's Angels summary and review. Broadcast on November 30th, 1977, Magic Fire is the 13th episode of the second season. When a legendary arsonist begins operating again, an old magician friend of Charlie's, whose act involves fire, is suspected. The Angels help to clear his name by investigating the magic show's venue. Chris and Bosley pose as fellow magicians, and Kelly poses as a famous magician's daughter looking to sell secrets. Sabrina checks out the arsonist's latest target, a fashion warehouse, and its owner. This episode features E.J. Andre as innocent magician Wendell Muse, Rudy Solari as vain magician the Great Danzini, and Victoria Carroll as Danzini's assistant Mary Ann Webb. Also in this episode is Howard Witt as fashion house owner Joseph Watson, Wyatt Johnson as Fire Chief Lieutenant Alex Summers, and Albert, Jacqueline Smith's poodle, making the third of 4 appearances in Charlie's Angels at about 6 minutes in. Interesting scene of the episode is when Sabrina meets up with Bosley and the Angels at the magic show while being tailed by Watson's goons. She enters the lobby and instantly figures out that the audience seating is behind a secret bookcase opening by the Open Sesame command. Interesting dialogue of the episode is between Danzini and Kelly's second, more intimate meeting to discuss business. Danzini excitedly says, "For you, a glass of wine," pulling it out from under a red sheet. Kelly responds almost monotone, "I gather that's what it is." Danzini counters, "You're certainly blasé. I mean, where did it come from? How could I have known in advance what drink you'd prefer?" Kelly coolly responds, "You asked the bartender." You'd almost get the impression that Kelly has eliminated Danzini as a suspect and is just letting her genuine boredom with him show. While magician Wendell Muse shows his fiery act, a nearby Fashion City warehouse mysteriously bursts into flame. The venue shown is the actual Los Angeles Magic Castle. Being an old friend of Charlie, the Angels start investigating. Sabrina talks to her old friend Fire Chief Summers, who is investigating the cause of the fire. He reveals that it has the hallmarks of the legendary arsonist, the Magic Man, whose last fire left an unidentified body. He also explains that the previous warehouse fire in the old garment district and this one were both owned by Joseph Watson. Bosley and the Angels work out their strategy while discovering that Muse was not the only magician active in the same area while the Magic Man fire started. The Great Danzini was too. Sabrina, posing as an eccentric fashion designer, complete with little white poodle, puts on the most unconvincing French accent in order to get close to Watson. She later investigates his warehouse at the same time Kelly watches Danzini's lame magic act involving making his assistant, Mary Ann, disappear. Sabrina briefly hears a phone ring before the warehouse bursts into flame. Locked in, she decides to bust out of the loading doors. Who knew Sabrina was forklift certified? Chris runs into Mary Ann backstage, plying her for information on Danzini. She awkwardly tries to make her boss look suspicious. Kelly also tries to investigate Danzini by posing as a former great magician's daughter. Tempted by the secret tricks he may have passed on to his daughter, he offers nothing but lame come-ons. Bosley and Chris do an act at the Magic Castle as Zoltan the Sorcerer and his assistant. After their act, Chris goes to take a shower, but the showerhead spits flames she narrowly avoids. Wondering if this is a warning by the arsonist, Sabrina wants to compare the shower fire setup with the one at the warehouse. Remembering the ringing, she spots extra material inside the office phone. Realizing that all it takes is a phone call on a jury-rigged device to spark a detonation, she sets a trap to see who calls Watson's office next. While Danzini does his act again, Mary Ann makes a phone call backstage while she is supposed to be disappeared. Chris catches her in the act, but a tussle ensues. It takes the help of Kelly to restrain Mary Ann in front of a confused Danzini. Anything rougher and her outfit might have had a malfunction. At the warehouse, Watson suddenly returns and accuses Sabrina of being the Magic Man's associate, revealing that he knows the real one is dead. He ties Sabrina up and resets the deadly phone before fleeing the scene. Caught by the 2 Angels and Bosley, Mary Ann confesses that she was the Magic Man's wife, and that the first fire at Watson's warehouse was for insurance fraud. Double-crossed by Watson, her husband died in the fire and she vowed revenge. After her arrest, the Angels realize Sabrina is taking too long at Watson's office and try to call her there, unknowingly starting the next fire. When their connection cuts out before anyone answers, the Angels and Bosley rush over to the Fashion City warehouse office. Seeing it on fire, they bust in and free Sabrina, who was already freeing herself from her bonds, to be fair. In the epilogue, back at the Townsend office, it is revealed that Watson didn't get very far before he was arrested. It's also revealed that Charlie was in the audience during Bosley and Chris's magic act. Excited, the other two Angels grill Chris on Charlie's appearance, but it was too dark for her to see him clearly. This is a fun episode, full of investigating leads and a ton of pyrotechnic special effects. Okay, maybe it's fun on first watch, but full of holes on subsequent viewing. How on earth did the fire chief not know how or where the fires were started? Why did Sabrina choose an alias that kept giving Watson red flags? Why did Mary Ann try to fry Chris in the shower, or bother her at all? Where did Watson's two henchmen go after the Zoltan act? Wouldn't they be useful tying Sabrina up? IMDb gave this episode a 7.1 out of 10, and despite liking it, I can't defend it either. It's just an average episode. Good morning, Charlie.